Runa Khan is the founder and leading force behind Friendship, a relief organisation based in Bangladesh, which is run on social enterprise principles. Runa, please can you tell us a bit about the activities of Friendship?
Friendship started in 1998, we were registered, but it actually started working in 2001. We started off with the first mobile floating hospital in the country. And what we do is we work in 5 different sectors, but we try to always start with intervention in health, because when a person is suffering, no other development intervention is really possible. So we go in and we work in health, and today we have 2 hospitals, and we're going to have a third mobile hospitals, third one also, and a 4th land hospital. We have about 350 clinics, mobile clinics. We have a community medic program and telemedicine, which is a 4-tier healthcare program, a complete package which works for providing care for the ultra poor. Our mandate also is to reach areas which are left unaddressed by others, be it the government or other institutions. And these are mainly along the river belts and along the coastal areas. So after we address health, and because we are always in these very, very difficult and remote areas, disaster-struck areas, we have disasters. So we go into food relief, rehabilitation, housing, water sanitation, flood shelters, even cyclone shelters, we are going to start. So we move into this. We do this, and we also work in Pakistan a lot with the flood relief in Pakistan and the IDP relief there. And after the relief, it's a natural evolution that people have lost everything after disaster. So we were also drawn in, and we started doing microfinancing. And the microfinance model that we've developed over the years, it's not based on a credit model at all. It's a totally different kind of a package. We have different package deals for agricultural people, those in agriculture, those in fishing department, who are doing fishing, those who are doing livestock. So it's a microfinance package deals with a very, very different targets. The target of 100% return is not even in our mandate. We're supposed to get 100% return. It is that these people within 5 years should move away from us and be part of the mainstream, have an account in the bank and be able to take off by themselves. Then we also have a cultural preservation project. We deal with the wooden boats of Bangladesh, and preservation of the wooden boats, and schooling and education. So we have adult education centers, and we have about 77 schools, primary schools. The social business for Friendship is not really making business for the organization. We have to be sustainable in a lot of our work. In a lot of our works, we cannot be sustainable. For example, if you think the secondary health care is financially sustainable for the ultra poor, it's not true. It doesn't work. I would sell that system to the British government or to the American government, if it was so. But what we do is providing care and building small entrepreneurs in the best way possible. So what we do is our community medic level is selling and identifying diseases, primary healthcare products, and they sell that and they earn a living. So villages and communities which did not have any access, when a child was burned, they did not even have a burn-all to ease that pain. Those people are today getting access to all these medication and a trained person who can give them certain number of medicines. And for quality level of that, they have the telemedicine with which they work. So they are in touch with our doctors, and it's a whole system that so those, for us, social business is the business works by itself even when we are not there. And we have over 300 of these community medics right now who are working. Then the concept of our microfinancing is in a scale-up system. Of course, we earn a bit of money, and we can continue the system ourselves. But that is not really the target. The target is that we have to ensure that these people become micro-entrepreneurs. Either through agriculture or through the fishing model which we have got. They can catch their own fish, they sell it in the market, they have their own businesses. So it is actually to ensure that these people are giving a value add to their community which the communities did not have. For example, the community medics, they are a value add to the community, and they themselves, the model is a social business model.
And where do you get the funding from for these operations?
It's coming from three sources. We are working with the Bank of Luxembourg, so of course we give the money back to them. Then we are working with like the Luxembourg government, where we don't have to return the money to them. So that helps us in keeping our costs lower. And I think this is an integral part because we are working in areas which are ultra poor. And the target of our organization is not making something only financially viable, but carrying services in a sustainable way, which is when we move away, it is still sustainable. And what we do is a lot of linkages with the government, because there are areas where the government does not reach. So in 3 of the districts that we are working with, we actually have a table in the government offices, because we are doing the interlinks and creating. So in case we are not there, the government will take over the system. This makes it sustainable, and that's how we work. So there are 2 natural systems. One is that people will naturally take up the cause, because we have identified the cause and we have provided the solution, and that solution is naturally taken up by the people because it's good and it's good for them, and they find it profitable and beneficial. The other is that we identify a cause and we find a solution, and the government takes it up as part of the mainstream or starts working in that. So that makes it, so this should be our mandate, because if I do social business, it's one organization becoming very rich. How does that become social for me? You see, it doesn't, I can collect money for charity and give it for charity. I don't have to be that. The impact of social business can come only when I can create thousands and millions of entrepreneurs who are earning money. And I am an instrument by which, with the technology, with innovation, with goodwill, with ideas, we make it so that they do it to the best possible capacity.
And how do you measure the success of what you're doing?
Well, let's say that I started 9 years ago, and I had told my first sponsor, which was Unilever, I said, well, I'm going to see 600 patients a month. And today we see over 25,000 a month for direct healthcare. Direct. We're providing services to more than 25,000 people. Well, between 25 and 35,000 actually, because one of the ships have gone for renovation, so at present it's 25. We are addressing more than 63,000 people a month through our different programs. And it has been on an upslope. And people come back to us. Our schools are we got the best award for being the best NGO in the district earlier. And we have people come back to us. Our hospitals are working full, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. People come back, and AFP had once asked, and they were told that, well, we come to this hospital because we get cured. So that's the success. Our microfinance, we get between 95 to 100% return. And really, that's not, we don't calculate that as any, but that, people commonly understand that as being a success. But for us, no, because if we find a solution for the people, which is financially good for them, they will always repay us back. I see no reason why they're not. Of course, some people will not because they just don't want to repay back, but the system works. We have taken microcraft, cottage industry to areas which had never seen or had any kind of trade. So we have these centers now where women are working and earning from 0 to 30 euros a month with that, the women. Our children, we have about 5,000 children and students in our schools and adult centers, and they come back. We have hardly, only when they migrate or the island breaks do we have dropouts. There are no dropouts. We have about 300 community medics. We have about 4,000 people who are today under the umbrella, they're all working, and they're paying us back the money. And within 2 to 3 years, I started microfinancing. We started 10 years ago, And the people that we had started with, they were small groups, so they don't need us anymore. So I consider that to be a success. Now they can go to a bank and take money from there when they need. You see, we slowly veer out after 5 years. So today, at this moment, we have about 4,500 people. But total packages, we give them, like for example, a fisherman that we're working with the Bank of Luxembourg. So we can give the money back to the Bank of Luxembourg now. We are getting it back. It's a 1-year project. I mean, it's a 5-year project, but it's 6 months into the project. And we are getting our payments absolutely on time, maybe 1%, 2% here and there overlapsing, the week. But otherwise, we get it back. We give them a liberation loan from the middleman. We give them an operational loan. We give them a capital loan. And we have a whole ecosystem which we make to ensure that they're earning money. In our agricultural projects, what we do is a risk sharing and lease financing. So we give them a lease financing for capital expenditure, and we give them for their products, agricultural products. We go into a risk sharing model with them, so which means that we give them money and they pay us back the capital, and with the profit we go on a risk sharing basis, and we are doing this comfortably without any difficulty.
How do you relate to government and the role of governments in providing necessary public services?
Well, in countries where you work at the grassroots level, we are working because there is a need which the government is not being able to fulfill. That's why Bangladesh has the biggest number of NGOs in the world. And so our target is to fulfill needs, identify things which the government is not looking into. You have to have it has to be a very balanced relationship with the government, because certainly they are far more powerful than you, but also you are infringing on their work. So we try to work really in a parallel way, in a manner, and we try to involve the government as much as possible in our work, so that they don't feel that they're being threatened or being left out. Certainly, we don't want too much intervention, because it's in working in difficult conditions, when you have this bureaucracy on your head, you can't work. You either are subjected to writing papers only and articles and media, but not work. So we have to keep a very, very balanced relationship with the government. Ultimately, of course, we want the government to do our work, but that's not going to become a reality. As you can well understand, that we cannot afford also that we create a parallel system with the government, because our target of each of our projects, for example, the microfinance project, is ultimately the people should have direct access to the banks, not to a microfinance institution, which is actually negative for the people because the cost is too high. But that is not a reality which is going to come in, and we have to go hand in hand with the government till we come to a solution. It's a bit of a joke, but you always say, okay, if the government is not interfering, they're helping. There are two things. It's not only the government, it's the government and private businesses. So you cannot infringe on either. I cannot build a parallel system which is going to destroy the natural evolution of the system in the country. I cannot start a business with donor funding and take money from the people. Another poor man has taken a bank loan, has sold his house and taken a bank loan, and I'm in competition with him. How does that solve my goal or my purpose of making our country good, financially stable? It doesn't. I'm negating that. So we have to be very, very careful when we infringe on the private sector with our earnings. And this is something I think it needs to be deeply philosophically also thought out, and it needs to be actually thought out as to where the line and demarcations are of infringing on government work and private sector.
And this is a debate which is still ongoing.
It's a debate which is still ongoing, and I think people always talk about the government, but they don't talk about the private sector, because social entrepreneurs very often step on private business.
But the essence of social entrepreneurs is that they are businesses.
No, social entrepreneurs, I think, is a very new terminology. And I think even if you ask INSEAD professors there, they cannot say it is only business. It is providing a solution for a problem which has not been addressed.
Thank you, Runa Khan, for joining us on INSEAD Knowledge.
You're welcome.